Hello, I'm Natalie. I'm here on behalf of Zener Engineering Services Limited to talk about GxP cloud projects and their compliance implications when they are delivered in the life science industry. In this short video, I will provide you with an initial introduction that will set you on the road to achieving regulatory compliance for GxP cloud projects. The technicalities of the cloud solution mean that they present a number of regulatory challenges when utilized in the GxP environment. The GxP cloud regulatory challenges include increased risks to considerations such as data integrity, cybersecurity, traceability, and a number of others, all having a potential impact on patient safety. Therefore, I'm going to highlight the initial project considerations for cloud computer systems in the GxP environment with the aim of setting you on the right road to achieving a suitably validated system, whilst also achieving regulatory compliance. Firstly, outline and document the GxP cloud system operational requirements in a user requirement specification, also known as a URS. Typical requirements to include are based on the end-user performance criteria, the system functional and security needs, the relevant regulatory requirements, and any business obligations. The documented and approved requirements provide an objective standard against which the system will be tested during qualification, also known as user acceptance testing. Qualification, if performed correctly and to the right standard, will demonstrate that the system performs as intended and is fit for its intended use. To draft a suitable URS correctly, key stakeholder input is essential and should always include the quality department and the end user. The more detail a specific requirement includes in the URS, the more defined the system will be, and this will in turn provide a more definitive design brief. Remember, if you don't specify a particular requirement in the URS, you can expect to receive the functionality in the final delivered system. Every project needs a plan, and so does validation. Whilst the URS is being drafted, I strongly recommend that a validation plan is also drafted in tandem. The validation plan should document a number of considerations, including the scope and scale of the validation exercise, the anticipated validation risk-based approach, the validation deliverables, and should identify the resources required to complete the validation life cycle with allocated roles and responsibilities for the members of the project team. In the experience of Zener Engineering Services, and sadly in one case very recently, even blue-chip GxP companies continue to fail to plan GxP projects adequately, and failure to plan is honestly a plan to fail. Zener have been asked on numerous occasions to help bring failing projects back onto the right track. Generally, the projects were failing due to the lack of suitable expertise acting on behalf of the GxP company and approved suitable documentation in the initial planning stages of the GxP project. The agreed validation risk-based approach will be determined in part by the documented inner workings of the cloud-based application. Therefore, a full understanding of the application functionality and inner workings of the cloud and software application is essential. For example, an understanding of the topography of the system infrastructure needs to be documented. Where are the data centers storing your GxP data, and what are the data flows? Here are some more examples. How does the application deal with a number of users who require suitable user access levels, with unique user accounts and passwords? Does the system provide a secure remote login facility, and how secure actually is it? Just some of the questions that need to have answers documented for a full understanding of the application. Depending on the cloud provider's service model, the cloud provider may be responsible for some of the validation activities. Therefore, a full understanding of the project roles and responsibilities, and the system and project boundaries, is essential and needs to be defined and documented in the validation plan. So how does the GxP company know if the cloud provider really understands the GxP environment and has the skills and quality systems in place to provide such a system, which complies with the GxP regulatory requirements? Cloud providers will certainly want to sell you what they believe to be a GxP compliant system. But should you accept the sales hype at face value? I don't think that would be a good idea. The GxP company should evaluate the cloud provider and software application against the relevant regulatory requirements early in the GxP cloud project. A Zener Engineering Services cloud provider evaluation will ensure that a full understanding of the cloud provider's internal operations and software application functionality is documented and understood by the GxP company. So why not have the GxP cloud experts from Zener independently evaluate what could be the most important data handling system in your GxP company? Let's use an analogy. Would you buy a house without an independent survey? I don't believe that would be the best way forward. A number of GxP companies have moved forward without the benefits of an expert review, looking out for their interests. A decision many have come to regret later. I strongly advise that you get independent experts to evaluate your next major investment in technology if you don't have the expertise internally. The GxP company should prepare a risk assessment to analyze the cloud system's intended use and to identify high-risk areas. Once complete, the risk assessment should be used to define the risk-based approach to validation. The risk assessment should formally outline the applicable regulatory requirements, such as 21 CFR, Part 11, and UDRELEX, Volume 4, Annex 11. The scope and scale of the validation activities should always be proportionate to the risk that the cloud solution poses to the GxP environment, including patient safety, product quality, data integrity, and the GxP business itself. The risk assessment must always be a real and legitimate evaluation of the real risks. It is definitely not just a tick-box exercise. Don't forget, there is a patient at the end of all of this, waiting to receive a quality product. I can't emphasize enough that when outsourcing to third-party cloud providers, the accountability for GxP cloud compliance remains with the GxP regulated company. However, responsibility for compliance controls may be delegated to others, with appropriate supervision undertaken by the GxP company. Oh, and just to reiterate something I said earlier, whilst I have your attention before I finish. The more detailed the URS, the more chance a suitable validated system will be delivered with the functionality that you actually require. Contact Zener Engineering Services, the GxP Cloud experts, for all your GxP Cloud validation, compliance, and training needs. Zener Engineering Services. Working to achieve compliance. And finally, can I just say thanks for watching this short GxP training presentation by ZES. It was a pleasure to meet you, and hopefully I will see you again soon for some more GxP training. Goodbye and thanks again.